After we come off the tour, we haven't got the advance. We haven't got the any advance money. We don't know any details of the contract, or at least I didn't. Um, the before we left, because it was coming close to the Christmas holidays, so they said, look, before you guys leave, you know, just go to the studio and record. Can record like 3 songs, do an EP. Because basically, I really don't think that the record company, like in the beginning, Bernard Rhodes, he was trying to keep us away from the record company. I think that's why he was switching up members in the band and things like that. So we didn't actually get to the record company and get to meet these people until much later. But Bernard Rhodes had a reputation in the past of going around um, and getting deals from, record companies, whatever. He's saying, "Hey, I got this band. I need this money. Da da da. Da. I got these. They're gonna be big. Blah 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 blah." And people would give him money sight unseen because of his reputation for the Clash and the Sex Pistols. And then he ain't, he really ain't got no band. He would just go when it came time for the people to meet the band. He would, go get some kids off the street or whatever. It's just like, people started catching on to that. It was like, man, so that's why his reputation was kind of bad in the industry after so many years of doing stuff like that, right? So I don't think Sony really understood exactly what we were, which is why I think when he first presented us to them or whatever, they actually flew over Lincoln Elias. He was our A&R guy. They flew him over to come see a special show that we put on. I think they would know, like, is this a real band? Does this motherfucker really have a band, or is he trying to just get some money out of us? So Lincoln Elias was, he was the guy who worked in the mailroom, and he discovered Terrence Trent D'Arby's demo tape. So he was an A&R for, after he pushed that tape onto the execs, and Terrence Trent D'Arby got signed and became a huge star. He became head of A&R eventually. He went from A&R to head of A&R. So they sent him over to come see us do a show in Atlanta. And we actually did that show at the rehearsal studio where we rehearsed. So he came down, and it was just like, I think it was just to verify that, we was a band, because I was like, after meeting him, what did he do the first time? Yeah, he came and he gave me a tape that had like old school, like Southern rock, and I really was not a fan of Southern rock. I did not grow up listening to rock and roll, and growing up in the South, I think the first time I got called nigger, white boys riding by uh, what was that? There was a Camaro, and I was like a kid, maybe like 10, 11 years old, and they were blasting like, Southern rock music, and that was the first time they yelled out, nigga. I was on a bicycle. I thought they was finna turn around and come back or whatever, but I just never, Southern rock just, to me, it identified it with racism. I know that's not the people that made it weren't racist, whatever. As I found out later on, but I just never really cared for it. And he handed me this cassette tape, and he was like, yeah, listen to this. It was like Creedence Clearwater Revival, and what's the motherfuckers do, Sweet Home Alabama, and I I think I listened about 10 minutes. I threw that shit away. I was like, this is our A&R guy. He don't know us. He don't know the band. Like, I don't listen to this shit. And none of our music is gonna sound like that or sounds like that. So anyway, I think he was just there to like verify, and it was like shortly after that we got the deal. So once we go over there, we do the tour, all the things that, like I said, it'll take several videos to break all this stuff down. So when it's time to leave, we didn't have what they call open-ended tickets when we first went there. So we were at the mercy of like, well, okay, whenever they get the tickets, that's when we go home. So all I wanted to do was go home because I had already made up my mind that I was done with this. I was done with Sony. You know, you signed $100 million deal, you broke. They changed up your music for the EP that they released to the public. I hated it. Now we're going in to record something else. Are they going to add keyboards to this later? I didn't even, I was already checked out. I was like, just let me get my feet back on American soil. When I get back to America, that's it, right? So the only thing I, you know, I had to look forward to was Bernard Rhodes wrote us all a check from his account that was supposed to be like, something like an advance. I think it was like $2,000, $3,000, whatever it was. And I was going to use that to get an apartment, get some equipment, just start over when I got back home. Because I was like, I'm done with all of this shit. Because before we left, we had moved into this apartment that Bernard Rhodes had got. So I didn't have a place to go back to in Atlanta. So I really needed that money because even if I flew back to New York, I still got to go back to Atlanta, but I don't have an actual place to go to. So that money was going to be used to get another place, start over. I left my car parked at a friend of mine, Mansa. Me and Michelle had a mutual friend, Mansa, and he was like a big fan of the band. He used to help us set up. He's helped me set up guitars and amps and stuff sometime before the shows. Came to all the shows. He was a good friend, and I left my car parked outside of his house when I went to his apartment when I went to New York. So all of that being said, when I get back to New York, I'll never forget it. I got a room. It was a hotel right there at the JFK airport. Got a room, and then me and Michelle would leave from there. She knew where this Avenue of the Americas, Bank of America was. She knew how to get around Manhattan. She took me there the next day. We was gonna cash a check and then go back. Right? I didn't want to go back to her house with her mom, right? Without, the money, the means to get back, to at least say that, even though things didn't go my way, the way I wanted it, I didn't want to face her mom again, and just be like, I'm back here and I'm broke. So that's why I got the hotel first, and then we left from there and went to, I'll never forget it.